Have you ever thought to yourself, I need a personal assistant? There's just too much to do. I'm overwhelmed. Well, I did. And I actually decided to get a personal assistant. It's been quite a journey, a journey we're going to find out about in this YouTube video. So stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Chido and this is Chido Starts Up. If this is your first time on Chido Starts Up, please make sure to click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page. And if you're joining us again, welcome back. Today we're going to be speaking about my journey with a personal assistant. I am not yet an executive and I'm not yet super rich, so I didn't really need a personal assistant to manage my travel diary or my speaking engagements. I actually needed additional help with some personal tasks that I was struggling to find the time to do. So I think that this video is very relevant for people who are, again, not yet in those spaces and who just kind of need an extra hand or maybe an extra mind. So yeah, we are going to go into it and find out about how that went. So I'm going to start off with kind of, my mini breaking point, the point where I actually realized I needed extra help. And it was when I realized that I wasn't able to do as much as I used to be able to do. I think this was because a lot of the new tasks that were on my table were bigger or they required more effort from me, so my time was being spread quite thin. And I'm a person who really believes that in this season of my 20s, I want to maximize on my energy and kind of do as much productive work as I can. So when I started noticing that I wasn't able to get as much done, I felt a bit anxious about it, and I tried to find ways of managing my time better. So I actually started off by looking for automatic PA. What do they call them? I think it's virtual PA. They call it a virtual PA, a VPA. I actually started looking for a virtual PA, and that didn't really work out. Then I tried, some of these time management programs. I won't name them because I also kind of forgot about them, but those didn't work out either because I still needed to dedicate a lot of time to input all my calendar items for it to remind me about them, and I just kind of felt ish, I can't really do that. So yeah, I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, let me actually just look for someone to assist me. And initially I'd ask people around me to maybe help me with one or two things, but then again that felt uncomfortable because I didn't want to end up using people, and I ended up just being you know what, I'm literally running away from it. I've known the answer for a while. I just need a PA. And when I got to the point of realization that I needed a PA, I actually felt a bit weird about it. I was like, girl, who are you thinking that you need a personal assistant? Show me the bank account with 6 cents. And yeah, I just kind of felt PAs are for people who are really wealthy, really up there and influential. And I just didn't really feel my profile fit the requirements of someone who requires a PA. But I was but actually, nobody needs to know that I have a PA. It's actually just for me and my personal productivity. So I'm just gonna pursue it and continue on with looking for a personal assistant. So I did, but again, I was still very shy. Even though I had accepted it for myself, I hadn't accepted it as a common fact amongst my circle or my people. So yeah, I just kept it to myself. And what I did is that I started brainstorming, how do I find the perfect PA? And the first things that I did is that I actually wrote down a list of things that I needed this person to do. When I wrote down that list, I actually noticed that I needed someone to help me more with my projects in Zimbabwe. This was because at the time, I was starting to get invited to quite a few events in Zim because of my involvement with my projects, and I always felt a bit bad. I was oh, I'm missing out. And even though obviously even if I did get a PA and she or he went on my behalf, even though I still wouldn't be there, there'd be someone who's kind of starting to gain those networks or kind of learn more about those industries or those sectors, yeah, while I'm not there. So I just still found it to be a very productive exercise. So once I found that I actually needed someone to assist me with my project in Zim, I was surely this person needs to be someone from Zimbabwe. And then I was okay, I've got a lot of groups with Zimbabweans and people based in Zim, so I can just post hey guys, if anyone is looking for like a PA post, please text me. But because I hadn't really accepted the role for myself, I didn't want people to text me. I wanted people to text another person. I didn't know who that person was. I chose not to involve people that I know, and I actually resuscitated an old email account that I actually had, that I had from like a past project. And then I sent the message on the groups. I was like, hi everyone, if anyone is looking for like a personal assistant type of job role, please can you email these people, and then I put the email address like it wasn't mine. I was like, please email these people and they'll get back to you. So I sifted out a lot of the CVs and I was left with like 3 candidates, and they were all quite good. One CV really did stand out, but I chose to kind of go with 3, and I WhatsApped them because they put their WhatsApp numbers. I WhatsApped them. One did not respond at all. I don't even think the message went through. The other one said she had found another job, and then I was left with the one, and that happens to be the one with the really great CV. I spoke to her and she was really excited to start, and I was excited to have her, and we just clicked. Like, we'll call her Bling Girl. We'll call her Bling Girl. And we're calling her Bling Girl because I've got a bag in my room called Bling Girl. Don't ask me why. But anyway, so Bling Girl and I really kind of like hit it off. I kind of gave her like a task sheet of things that I expected her to do, and she was really excited by it, especially because she was going to be doing a lot of work that was in line with what she also had in store for herself. So another thing that is really important is that if you can get a PA who is roughly interested in similar things that you're interested in, it makes it so much easier to get work done, and to get work done well, because you know that this person will actually even do their own research and supplement the work they're doing for you because they're interested in that. So she was also interested in the types of events I was being invited to, and she was happy to go. One hidden thing, well, let me not call it a hidden thing, but one thing that I kind of figured once I'd hired Bling Girl is that I found out that she would obviously need to go to the places, and she'd obviously need data in order to like complete some of her tasks. And I chose to provide her with a data allowance and a travel allowance. I just kind of thought that was fair because a lot of places she was going to be going to were far apart, and a lot of tasks that she needed to do required a lot of data. I didn't really want to eat into her like wage, so I gave her a travel allowance and a data allowance. And if you're also thinking of getting a PA, I suggest you think about that, whether you're willing to provide those kinds of like extra resources in order for your PA to do their job effectively. So yes, I provided her with a travel allowance. And she went to events, she networked with people, like she was really happy. And again, I was really happy because I just felt like, things were moving for us. I eventually went to Zim, I think about 3 months after we started our virtual remote PA relationship, and I met her, and again we were just clicking. Like, she is just an amazing person. So the way that the year has kind of rolled out made it quite difficult for Bling Girl to continue doing the types of tasks that she was originally hired to do. And one of the main tasks was going to events. She would be able to log into virtual events, but because of the huge data requirement, it was actually more costly for her to attend them than it would be for me to attend them. So I started attending those. And then I just felt like, maybe she was getting a bit demotivated, that she didn't really have much to do. So I found other tasks for her to do, and she was quite happy to take them on, and she'd do them. But then I started noticing a few weeks down the line that a lot of weird excuses started coming up, and I didn't really understand what was happening. And sometimes when I'd confront her, she'd be like, oh no, I was actually doing this. And I was like, oh, you should just feel free to tell me the real reason why you can't complete tasks, so that we can move forward from there. If you're traveling somewhere and you won't be available for 2 weeks, let me know so that I know, and then we can just all know and just make it work. So that didn't really happen. A lot of the weird excuses kept happening, and I think I just kind of let it slide. I didn't really want to make weird decisions, and I also just kind of still needed her assistance a lot. Things just weren't working as well as they did previously. So, Bling Girl was no longer meeting deadlines. She was no longer like actively engaging in her work. And I don't know, I just felt like I really did need to have a conversation with her. So, one of the projects that we're doing ended, and I had to speak to her about it. And she said that she still wanted, some other type of work to do. And I was like, no problem, we can always find something to do, because again, there's so much to be done all the time. So with Bling Girl, we found new tasks, and then it just kind of got to a point where the tasks would not get done and the updates would not come when they were supposed to come. And I just got really tired of like following up, so I ended up doing the tasks myself. One of the things that really made me question the like authenticity of my relationship with Bling Girl was like a task to do with money. So I actually needed to make a transaction, and I knew that Bling Girl had like some excess money from the data allowance she hadn't used. So I asked Bling Girl if she would be able to make the transaction for me, and she said, oh no, I can't make the transaction. And I was caught up back because, I don't know, I just felt like she had the means to do it, so she'd be able to do it. Or at least if she can't do it, she'd like explain why. To be like, oh, maybe I don't have network or whatever. So she said she wasn't able to do the transaction, and I asked her why, and she said she didn't have the money. And then I questioned, I was like, oh, but don't you still have that data allowance? And she said, oh no, I don't have it anymore. And again, I had to prompt and ask her, oh, what happened to it? And she then told me that she used it for personal reasons. So that did frustrate me, because I just felt as though like we should have transparency. And I just didn't really think, like, it wasn't a problem that she used it for personal reasons, but I felt like she should have told me. So I did communicate to her about, my sentiments regarding the way that the data money was used for personal reasons, and I had to make an alternative plan for that transaction. But I just felt like, our relationship had just changed, and I'm not quite sure what had happened, or, how it could have been fixed, because I didn't even know when, like, maybe she started feeling like things had changed from when we initially met. But yeah, things have definitely changed, and it has changed the way that we work together. Even though we do still work together, things are just not the same. So I don't think it's fair to put all the blame on the way that this year has progressed on my relationship with Bling Girl. I believe that there must have been something that happened along the line that contributed to, the changing elements of our relationship. And I'm quite open to speak about it. I've always, communicated that with her. But I think for you, if you're looking to hire a personal assistant, particularly a remote one who you won't be able to see all the time, I think it's really paramount that you take it seriously and take it as like you're hiring an official employee. So for starters, have a probation period. Like 3 months is a good time to really get to know how someone works, how you guys vibe. And I think in that period, try give them as many different tasks as possible, so that you're able to really see, how they work, the types of things they like, the types of things that they don't like, and just so that you can truly understand the person you'll be working with. I also recommend that if you're going to offer things like a data allowance or a travel allowance, you have ways of measuring how that money is used. I don't think it's optimal for people to use their money for personal reasons and to not communicate it. I think that it's always best for there to be full transparency between everyone involved in the PA relationship. So yes, have a way to track the money you use. Another thing that I think you need to take note of is that you should hire someone who you can have an honest conversation with. So there may be times when things are awkward or when things are not working, when you really need. So there may be times when things are not working, or things are just awkward, or you just need an explanation, a deeper explanation as to why something happened or it did not happen. And if you're uncomfortable to have that conversation with that person, or uncomfortable to deal with some things that may frustrate you, then it becomes quite difficult for that relationship to progress. I think that one of the reasons that my relationship with Bling Girl is still going on to this day is because when we started, we had really firm foundations, and even though things have gone a bit weird throughout the process, personally, I don't think that should completely end our relationship. I just think that our relationship would need to be restructured. So I guess the question here is, would I still hire another PA? I probably would, but not as immediately after feeling like overwhelmed and overcommitted. I would first make plans to like manage my time better and try to do as much as I can by myself before I actually employ external assistance. I just think that it's also easier if I have hands-on experience on everything that I'm doing, and I know, you know, what's required. It will also make it easier for me to then hire someone. So if I know that, you know, in like a month I spend X amount to travel to the places that I need to travel to, then I know that I can give that person X amount, and if they say they need more or less, I kind of have an idea of kind of, you know, how much things cost and how much time things take as well. So I suggest that, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like you need a PA, first try to manage your time better. If you've done that and you're still feeling the same way, then look at hiring a PA. But remember, make sure that your relationship is like set in stone and everybody kind of knows what is expected of them and how best to handle issues, and you won't have any issues. Or you won't have many issues. Let me rather say that. So please make sure you leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think about hiring a PA, if you've ever hired a PA, and if you have any advice for me actually, because, you know, I'm kind of still walking that path. Like, share, and subscribe to Chido Starts Up. I cannot wait to see you next time.